Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tosin for those that are new here. And in today's video, as you could have seen from the title, I'm going to be doing the part 2 of my business and entrepreneurship video. I did a video I think about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And I got a lot of very good feedback from that video. I got a lot of comments from that video. I think maybe because at the beginning of the video, I probably threw a shade that I said the same energy that we all used to watch like fun videos, interracial couples, marriage videos, we should also, apply that same energy when people are talking about personal development stuff. But yeah, please don't take that personal. I just meant that it's good just to have the same engagement. So basically in this video, I'm just going to be doing like a part 2 of that video, and just the questions that you left in the description box, I'm going to answer all the questions in this video. So, relax. I hope my voice, stays put for this video. I'm not going to really talk much about my experience because I already covered all of that in the first video. Please, if you haven't watched that video, please go and watch it. I'll put a link in the description box below. If you're new here, I know I received a lot of new subscribers. Please make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, you bookmark my channel, and you put on the notification bell so that every time I upload, you can join my notification gang. Okay? So yeah, thank you guys so much. And yeah, I'm just going to go right into the video. So yeah, the first question, I'm not going to say the person's name because a lot of people like privacy. So the first question, okay, the person said, I'm sure you had some fears when you decided to be a full-time entrepreneur. How did you conquer the fears? What drives you to keep things going even when they don't seem to go as expected? So that's 2 questions in one. I haven't looked at these questions like in-depthly, so every answer that I'm giving you is going to be fresh from my head at the moment and from my heart now. So the first one, did I have any fears when I decided to go entrepreneurship full-time? I would say no. I would say I had a lot of uncertainties, because if you had seen from that video, I said that I had a lot of interest. I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do until like 2 years into being an entrepreneur, that I, literally found my niche, let me put it that way. So I wouldn't say I had any fears per se, because as I said also in that video, I grew up around entrepreneurs. My mom has been doing it for, over 30 years. So it wasn't something that was foreign to me. It wasn't something that I kind of didn't know the ropes. It's just that obviously I didn't experience it personally myself. So I won't say I had a lot of fears. I just had a lot of uncertainties. I didn't know what to do. And so I really can't say how did I overcome them. But I would say the uncertainties, obviously when you're doing things and you're seeing the results, with time you'll begin to know that, okay, this is what my strengths, these are my weaknesses, this is what I need to improve. And that kind of just helps in total. So the next question, what drives you to keep things going even when things don't go as expected? Oh, I've had a lot of, in fact, I'm sure I can do a story time of like my 5 top, disappointing moments to being an entrepreneur so far, or days that have broken my heart. Let me put it that way. I would say, obviously, because I'm going to be very candid. One is my desire to be successful. You guys, a lot of people say, oh, they want to be successful because, no one likes to suffer. Everyone likes good life. But I genuinely am passionate about people. I really want to help people. I want to be able to give. I want to be able to start foundations. I want to be able to give to ministries. I want to start outreaches. Not like I don't even mind like giving to existing ones. Do you get what I mean? So that's one of my biggest motivations when I'm working, is to be able to gather resources, because I know that we're blessed to bless. The only reason why God is putting a lot of resources in your hands is so that you can be a light to another person. So I think that really keeps me going. I cannot just wake up and say, I'm going to throw the towel in, because I know that the vision that God has placed upon my heart, is bigger than me. So that kind of keeps me motivated. What, if I don't, if I'm not making profit, how am I even going to give my tithe? How am I going to invest? How am I going to use my God-given intellect to be able to, produce, do you get what I'm saying, to produce results and to multiply whatever God has placed in my hand. So I would say that really, really keeps me going. So I'll say that's the first thing. Second thing is I enjoy what I do. I love attending to customers. I love solving problems. I love giving people products. I love to teach. Even YouTube for me, I enjoy teaching. I enjoy, as I always said, I think I said that in my previous video as well, I enjoy the fact that someone can say that, I watched this video and I can say these are 5 things that I learned from spending my time on this person. I don't like being empty. So that desire to always keep producing, to keep giving, I just feel like I have so much to give. Like we're so multidimensional as human beings. Like, doing business is also a way to express the gifts that God has given me. Do you get, even from like my marketing materials to promotions to adverts to anything that we do is just an expression of the gifts that God has given me. So that keeps me going as well. So next question. Okay, I would definitely like to know more about sourcing products from China and tips to find the best manufacturer. Okay, I would say first things first. I mean, the internet is a beautiful place. Like, sometimes all you really need to do is Google, let me say you want to start selling maybe chiffon clothes, for instance, or like this silk dress I'm wearing. You can always say silk manufacturers, and don't necessarily put China. You'll be surprised that, I mean, do you know how many countries there are in the world? While really obviously China is like one of the biggest manufacturers of anything at a good price, but use the internet. So do your Google, as I always say, like do your Google. Google is your friend. Type in, search. Obviously, everyone knows AliExpress. AliExpress is a really good place to start. It's just that obviously, in as much as AliExpress prices are cheap, the shipping is very tricky. I'm very weary of giving people like advice on like logistics, companies to use, because I find that I can use a company and they'll be so great to me, and then you use another person and they have really horrible service. So things like that, especially on the internet, like I don't want anyone to run whatever I say as regards where you put your money. Do you get what I'm saying? Especially with business. So I'm very weary of stuff like that. But I would say if you go online, do your research, read reviews. Depends on what you want to stock as well. So like if I want to, let me say, stock maybe fabric, China may not be the place. It may be India, it may be Singapore, it may be Malaysia, because I know they have really good cotton. Like it depends on what you want to do. That's where you would look at, okay, which countries in the world are the biggest exporters of these products. Do you get? Actually, for example, now the most popular business I know that everybody and their auntie is doing is they're selling extensions. If it's extensions you want to do, and mind you, I said that I don't want that to be like something to deter you from doing that business. I always tell people that 30 people can be doing the same thing, but if it's what God has called you to do, you would excel. The world is such a global village, like it's such a big place. You can't service the whole of Lagos. As big as DHL is, there's FedEx, there's what they call the other ones, there's FedEx, there's TNT, there's a lot of logistics companies. So you cannot serve the whole world. So you can definitely do that. So that's what I would say. Obviously, lastly, with finding the best manufacturers is that don't put your money where you're not certain. Don't go and the first order you order is maybe 10 bundles of hair. No, don't be silly. Order 1 bundle, 2 bundles, test it, ensure that you have a good relationship with them. Ask them to see their customer profile, ask them to ask for feedback. And I know that these people could be really dubious, and they can send you really good hair the first time, and then when you make the bulk purchase, you get rubbish. That's why as believers and as born again, you can't just make decisions with brain. You have to go with the leadership of the Holy Spirit as well, because God never leads us to reign. Okay, so that's that. Next question. Okay, wow, Tosin, I have some questions. I was wondering how you chose your master's program since you didn't want to pursue the traditional routes. Actually, I've done a video on to go for masters or not. I did that many years ago while I think I was still a student, or when I was about to. So I think that's a really good video to watch, since as at that time I was in the frame of mind as someone I just freshly graduated. I mean, I did my master's 2013, when 2019, that's 6 years ago. My experiences have changed. Yeah, so, and for what we're doing now, what do you love most about it? I think the fact that I know that people are happy even just watching my YouTube. I know that I'm solving problems. Like this morning, one of the first messages I received was someone telling me that she went on TK Maxx and she got really good deals for handbags, and she knows that this will last her and it was really good quality. I had so much joy in my heart knowing that, I've helped someone to make a buying decision that was excellent. That it just gives me so much joy, as it's instant gratification. Your comments make me so happy. And not just even comments, me even seeing the returns, like the lives that are being transformed, besides even faith, business-wise, like my business, stocking good products, knowing that people are they'll be like, oh my God, where have you guys been? Your store is like a candy land for the business that I'm doing, stuff like that. Just knowing that I'm solving problems, it gives me that kick. So that's one thing I love the most. And I also love the fact that I'm using my brain and I'm not idle. So that's another thing that I love. Next question. Also, as an entrepreneur, do you have a mentor or a mastermind group? I have a lot of mentors. What people fail to realize is that, do you know you can have a mentor and I'm doing like this, I hope you listen to me carefully. You can have a mentor. So for instance, let me use this pillow, right? So let's say, okay, this was a pillow that someone gifted me and my husband, by the way. Shout out to Pillow Talk Nigeria. My husband has slept on it so much that the pillow inside is already flat, so I need to replace that. Anyway, right, the cushion inside, yeah. So let's say this is your mentor, this is a person. You can love what the person does. Like, so let's say the person is a makeup artist, right? And the person is really, really good at their craft, and they're your mentor in that area. But let's say the person maybe womanizes. Let's say the person is a guy. The person has a lot of wives, or he has a lot of girlfriends, and the person is not that kind of, or the person lies a lot. You lie a lot in your personal life may not affect your professional craft. Or let me say the person is always looking scruffy. So this woman, she's so good at what she does, but she's always looking just blare, like she's always looking unkempt, stuff like that. Or whatever thing that, I'm sure you're beginning to get my drift. That person, so people feel that when the person is their mentor, they must love the entire pillow. You don't need to love the entire person. Someone can be your mentor in the way they speak. Someone can be your mentor in the way they break down the word. Someone can be your mentor in the way they bring people together. Someone can be your mentor in your craft, and you still do not like their lifestyle. The person may be like, or you do not agree with their lifestyle. Let me use something controversial. The person may be gay. You don't want to be gay because obviously your belief is against it as a Christian, against that lifestyle as a Christian. Do you get what I mean? But you love their job. Are you not going to say, okay, because the person, has confessed that they are gay, you're not going to, admire their creativity. You're not going to. God also gave them those skills. So I feel for me, I have a lot of mentors. Like there's so many people that are mentors. For example, something that is a pet peeve for me is people that swear a lot. And there's this lady that I follow on the internet, like she's always swearing, like she cannot construct a simple sentence without blotting out a swear word. But guess what? I admire her business acumen. So I follow her closely, not to replicate her lifestyle, but to replicate the skills that are positive from her. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's why I always tell people that it's so important that you that you're a believer, you that God has trained you and is constantly training and pruning you, you're putting yourself out there so that you are more wholesome. So people can see you and not need to say, okay, I only like Tosin because of her hair. They should be able to say, I like whatever your name is because of her lifestyle, the way she talks, everything about her is just excellent. Do you get what I mean? So that's that. So personally for me, I have a lot of mentors and I'm not going to mention any of their names. The mastermind group, no, I've never been involved with one. Hopefully if I see one that I feel will add value to me within my budget, definitely I will join one. Right? So next, any tips for networking, especially when starting out and you have nothing to contribute to the business relationship? Okay, I get what you're saying. So like, let me say someone has been in business for 10 years and you want the person to, like, you're networking with the person, but you don't really have much to give. I don't want to be like a freeloader, you're always gaining. I would say, be genuinely interested in the person. Tell the person, be clear from beginning. Don't be a fake person. Don't be saying, oh, I'm the CEO, blah, 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 when you haven't even registered your business. Like, no, don't be that kind of person. Be very honest. I really like you as a person. I love what you do as a business. I just want to learn from you. And if the person is not open to teaching you, on to the next one. Or you prefer prayerfully, tell God to change the heart of the person. Especially maybe if you didn't pray before you went to meet the person initially. You know what I mean? So I would say one of my tips are for networking, because God has really been so kind to me. He has helped me to like attract really high network individuals, especially within my business. A lot of people tell me, Tosin, you know everybody. I don't know everybody, but God has somehow, ordered their steps into my life, and I've kind of made that relationship really, I've built that relationship. So I won't always call you because, people don't like to be disturbed, but I will leave you nice messages. I'll compliment you if I truly feel like you're looking great. I'm not going to like, be what they call them in the world. I'm not going to come and be sucking up to you. I won't do that. No, I won't do that. But I'll be very genuine with you. I'll tell you I'm really interested. I like you as a person. What you said today, I listened to your tape today and it was really good. Another thing is, you think you don't have anything to give to the business relationship, but trust me, you've got something to give. What about telling them, I have friends, as I say, that they're not in business, but they give me good counsel. Oh, maybe, oh ma, I saw your staff today, or I saw your post today. I'm assuming you're speaking to your mentor now, whoever the person is. Not because you're younger than them or less experienced than them, you think that you're not able to give them any form of valuable feedback. No. How can I help you? Look at their business page. Have you thought about doing this? Maybe do this, maybe do that. And you'll be surprised that they would run with some of the advices that you give as well, because nobody's empty. Everybody has something to give. So that's that. Next question. I would like to know strategic ways to save up for starting a mini business, just like jewelry or sale of fabric. I don't want you to start a business with a mindset of mini business. Start a business with a mindset of, I'm going to be global. I'm going to be listed on the stock exchange. People are going to buy shares in my business. Like, not everybody's obviously going to have a public, liability business, but have that mindset that my business is going to be a global world changer. I'm going to have a business that my children's children will be able to get, how would I put, remuneration from. My children's children will be able to even work in that business. So I don't want you to have that mindset. But secondly, I understand where you're coming from. So let's say you want to start bringing in jewelry from China. Jewelry is really small. You can order jewelry worth £1,000 and they will literally not be up to 5 kg. Especially when it's not real gold. I mean, like costume jewelry and whatnot. I would say also, like, look at your income. That's what I always do. My biggest motto in life for saving is keep some, spend some, give some, and save some. Or keep some is also save some. So let's divide them into 3. Give some, you give out some to people, you spend some, and you save some. So the ratio depends on you. You can say, I'm going to be giving out 20% of my earnings, and that's inclusive of tithes and offerings and alms given. So I'm going to be giving out 20%. I'm going to be spending 40% of myself, so that's 60, and the remaining 40%, I'm going to be saving them. If you don't have any source of income, except you're going to steal, or you have someone that's going to gift you, I don't know where you're going to get the money from to save. But if you have a source of income, just tell yourself, how much can I realistically save? And let me tell you something, people start too soon. Sometimes it takes you an entire year to save for something. Even now, as I'm in business, to restock goods sometimes, it might be itching me to restock because people are asking, it's out of stock, it's out of stock. But if I've not reached my threshold for restocking, so let's say I want to put ₦1 million every time I buy goods, if my excess, like not just my profit, like not just my turnover, like profit has not reached the point or what my threshold I have set for myself to restock, I won't restock. Like, why am I putting myself under undue pressure? You know what I mean? So I would wait till I reach that threshold to restock. That's for me personally. You may be different. So I would say if you have source of income, just tell yourself and be disciplined. Discipline yourself. Put it into an account that you can't touch. And I know that God will help you. The other things, I feel like they said it over and over again. Don't buy what you don't need, Discipline yourself for that period and save. Next question. Is it possible for an entrepreneur to do a business that is profitable, but the passion is not present? Absolutely. Business is business. It's so... The only problem with stuff like that is that you will need to have to develop the passion eventually, because you need to love what you're doing. Not like you don't, people say you don't, but I think you need to do so that it's not like work, so you can actually enjoy. And I always tell people that you need to have a driving force beyond money. Money is so sweet, trust me. By the time you bought something for 10,000 and you're selling for 20k and you're making 100% profit, trust me, it is sweet, it is nice, it's very good to be financially buoyant. But you need to have a driving force beyond money. Because the days you don't make money, what would sustain you? If not, you'll be jumping from every industry. So let's say, as I said previously, hair is raining, you do hair business. Now everyone has gone natural now. Are you not going to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to start selling crochet because it's more natural? Or you say, okay, I'm not going to sell hair again. Now everyone is, let me say, doing henna. I'm going to start importing henna. You can't be jack of all trades, master of none. You need to let people know you for something. And people think that successful businesses just stumble out of nowhere. No! When you go and check, you find out that these people have been doing this thing diligently for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and then suddenly they're on the lips of everyone. When you want to buy a dress, the first person you think about is XYZ clothing, for example. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think that it's possible to start a business. Like, for example, like if I have maybe spare ₦5 million doing nothing, and I know that, let me say, pork business or fish farming is very lucrative. I'm not passionate about animals to the point that I want to be a farmer, no, but I can financially invest there, you know what I mean? But I think it's a dangerous place to be for a new entrepreneur where you don't have ease of cash to be playing with like that. You need to be passionate, but it's possible. But I would recommend that you go into an industry where even if you're not passionate now, you're able to build the passion. Yeah, so I hope that answered that. Next question. This is so funny. Do you think it's okay for someone to go right into marriage right after NYSC? Do you want me to be real? I don't know your journey. I don't know where you've been. You can finish NYC and you can be the most mature person. NYC is National Youth Service for non-Nigerians watching me. It's like saying, is it wise for someone to finish school, to get married right after university? People get married in uni and they're doing okay. You know, everyone's journey is different. But I would say, let me speak for myself. And hopefully you'll be able to learn something from that. So let me speak for myself. If I had the opportunity, let me say the opportunity, let me use that word, for lack of a better word, of getting married right after university, I would say no. Because why? One, I wasn't financially independent. I didn't have nothing to my name. I probably only had a few hundreds of thousands. And I tell women that if you can, wait and save. Like, don't let people deceive you and tell you marriage is spiritual, but wisdom is profitable to direct. You know what I mean? So please be financially prudent. And yes, be very financially prudent. I'm talking $1 million. Have that in cash. Have it. You don't need to agree with me, but this is me telling you. Have it in your account at least. So that's one. Another thing I would say that why I'm speaking for myself, for somebody said Tosin said for herself. Another thing I would say is I wasn't emotionally mature. So you know sometimes uni cages you. You feel like uni is the real world, but uni is not real life. You need to experience life. How do you relate with daily life challenges? So I would say I also was able to build my emotional intelligence, my maturity from that time. And you guys, I don't know if you may finish uni when you were 40 years old. I don't know. I'm a baby girl, so I'm speaking from my own experience. So that another thing I would also say is I would have loved to be sure that I was making the right decision, depending on where you are spiritually at that point. You know, if the Holy Spirit is telling you by all means get married in your second year, girl, please go for it. You know. But if you don't have that leading from the Holy Spirit, you just think, oh, it's a good will of God. God wants us to marry. I would say, take your time, work, get into the workforce, have a rhythm for your life, know what you're doing. Because marriage is beautiful. Yes, in marriage, two become one. But what happens if you don't get married or the person doesn't come? Would you not become an empty person? No. So you need to be your own woman, as cliche as it is. People need to know that this is who Tolulope is. This is who Sandra is. Don't let people just be saying, oh, who is Tolu? Tolu is Shola's wife. It's sweet, it's all nice and good, but be your own person. You know, individuality is very important in marriage, in as much as we're one. It's very important. So I would say that's that. Another question. This is a good one. What skills do you think an entrepreneur should have before going into business? I would say first things first. You can't learn everything before going into the business. You can only try to know the surface. Business will teach you. Entrepreneurship will teach you that there are so many. Your work will say, "Ibiti your born your content, your born meet your meet better." Meaning that where the wisdom of one person ends, that's the wisdom of where another person starts. So you get what I mean? In the sense that no one is infinite. You cannot know it all. You can only be as well-rounded, as vast as possible. So I'll say the first thing is know your accounting, because business is about money. It's not an NGO. Even an NGO employ accountants, so know your accounting. Even if you're a medical student, you do not have any experience in accounting, I don't mean you need to know Excel to the point of you can write an exam. You need to know your accounting, know how to invoice, know how to keep your source documents, know how to take record keeping, know how to ascertain price points. So let me give you a very good example. I buy this phone for £10, right? It cost me £2 to go and get the phone. Now, what is my cost of good purchased? £12. Yeah, because I bought this phone for £10. It cost me £2 to go and get it. And if you want to take it a notch up, you can actually add your own time as a person. Like, let me say your hourly rates that you want to use, like the time you used to go, so you can add it as well. So let's say you got it for £12. What is your markup? How much do you add it? What is your profit? People just say, okay, I bought it for £12, so I'm going to sell it for £15. Well, how many phones will you need to sell for you to be able to buy another phone? If you think about it. Just the profit. So let's say you bought this phone for £12. You add only £3 profit to it. You're selling it for £15. So you need to sell 5 phones because £3 is your profit. 5 phones. Besides the expenses, though, you've not removed the rent of your shop or your internet data. You need to sell 5 phones to be able to buy one, which may be fair if it's a fast-moving good. Do you get what I mean? So also you have to think of how do you set your prices? What is your percentage? You use like a flat rate so you're able to do sales. So you don't shoot yourself in the foot. You put what's the general market price. So if everybody's selling it for 2005, can you afford to sell it for 2005? Or do you want to go higher because you source your goods differently and the world is a global village? Or you want to source it a bit lower so that you can attract, people to come because your own price is lower than the market price without shooting yourself in the foot. You need to know those basic like accounting, how do you email your customers, so I think that's one. Second thing is social media skills. Is so underrated. I know social media is not everything, but you need to know your social media skills, how to post, how to keep people engaged, your post, how to build followership. There are a lot of free resources on YouTube and on even Instagram and online that you can learn that from. Third thing that I think you also need to learn is customer relations. That's one thing that's lacking in a lot of businesses. So you can sell the best dresses, if your customer service is crap, your audience would not grow. And that's the truth. So you need to learn basic, how do I respond to my clients? What choice of words do I use? How do I train my staff if I'm able to afford one? So I think you need to learn those three things paramount. You also maybe need to learn like your industry. Who are the key players in your industry? Who are you competing against? I mean, beyond the technical skills, those are just skills that most people don't even think about. So let's say you want to be a baker. Who are the top 5 bakers? Why would they choose me instead of the next person? How can I effectively position myself to compete against this person? So some of the things that you want to consider. What are the lessons that you learned at your 9 to 5 that you found useful to run your business? And what kept you going at the 9 to 5 despite not being happy? Okay, I think this is a good one. This is a lot of questions. So I'm just going to answer all this person's questions and I'm going to end it there. Okay? Yeah. So I would say the lessons that I learned is just obviously, punctuality. I needed to wake up really early because there was quite some traffic going there. And it's the same thing with business. People think that once you begin to work for yourself, you can wake up by 1 p.m. You're on your own. You're going to I know people say people work differently, but if you read books, you will see that successful people have routines and habits, and a lot of them wake up before 5 a.m. Okay, let me be fair, before 6 a.m. So waking up really early is one thing I know that I took away from that business. Another thing I took away is just processes, how things were done. Before you buy anything, you need to apply for it. Before you spend any money, you need to give like petty cash. Obviously, I learned that working with my dad as well in his 9 to 5. So with my staff, I do that. You can't just wake up tomorrow and tell me you need salary advance, so you need to collect. No. You write a letter, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Or maybe if I'm being kind, maybe I'll get back to you later in the day. But you need to apply properly. So you need to have a float, just processes, how every document that you get, you need to scan it to have an e-copy because anything can happen to the physical copy. So stuff like that, I would say that's what I learned. Also, I kind of did social media there as well for the brand, so I also was able to translate that into my business. What kept you going at the 9 to 5 despite the things happening around the time? I would just say it's just fear of God. Nothing kept me going in that business, and this is just me being honest. Nothing. Like everything was frustrating. Just because I just knew that, if I was an employer, I wouldn't just want my staff to up and leave, So I'll just say that kept me going, and, just because I don't want to be that person that on their CV, every 3 months, they're changing jobs. Do you get what I mean? So I wanted to at least, let me know that even through tough times, I'm able to discipline myself, humble myself, and stay in a place for 6 months, 9 months, and at least it's good enough on my resume. So I'll say that's what kept me going. Third question. As an employer, what is the best advice you would offer an employee? Okay, this could be in the form of the best career advice you've ever gotten. Because I haven't really been 9 to 5 for like 10 years, I won't say I've gotten the best career advice from anybody. But what I've learned being an employer, because I've employed about 4 people, or 5 people now till date, I would say make your mark anywhere you're working. So that even if you have to leave as a disgruntled employee, maybe you weren't treated well, like with my own case, the employer and even the co-staff will say that, when Tosin was there was a difference. Tosin was so good. She was so punctual. She was so excellent. Regardless of maybe they were paying you peanuts, make your mark. Don't accept the job that you go there every day, you'll not be squeezing your face. You're doing yourself. It's your own legacy that you're doing. So I'll say one of the best advice I can give an employee is, even if you're already working there and everybody knows you that you're the one that when it's 5 o'clock like this, you're running out of the office. I'm not saying you can't do that, but for the 9 hours that you've been paid to do per day, or the 8 hours you've been paid to do per day, make your mark. You be a person that no one will have anything negative to say about you. And anyone that does, someone will be able to stand and say, no, you can say she's quiet, but she was really good at her job, because you've been employed to do the job. So I would say that's one of the best advice I would give an employee. Because I have a staff that was one of my first initial staff that I employed. She's gone now because she went off to uni and to further her education. She had a lot of like, she could be forgetful, she could be this, she could be that. But I always tell people that if anyone calls me to say, please, this person works with you, can you give in a word for her? I would tell you she was very hardworking and she really cared about your business. She really cared about working with me, and I would give good word about her. So that's that. Last question. What are the things that you wish you knew in between the transitioning period? Ugh. So transitioning from 9 to 5 to employment, to working for myself, things I wish I knew. I need to have a think about that. Things I wish I knew. Oh yeah, that people are rude. Now, no matter how kind you are, once you're dealing with a large volume of people, like in our business now, we deal with an average of, let me say, 30 people per day. And for some businesses, that might not be a lot, and for some businesses, that's a lot. So I know I deal with an average of, like, me and my staff, an average, that's even maybe on not a busy day, 30 people per day. People are rude, people are on calf. Patience is really a virtue. Like, I wish, like, as in, I wish I had that premonition, so you know, when I went into business, I was able to be well prepared, because some things took me off guard. So I don't know if I made the best decisions in those scenarios back then, but I wish I knew that one. Also, what else would I say? I wish I knew that people are unreliable when it comes to, like, you know, artisans, printers, even staff. You need to be like a hawk. You need to put measures in place. You don't trust no one. Like, I'm the person that I see the best in people. I believe that nobody wants to cheat me. I believe that, you know, I have God, so nobody will steal from me. But you need to still be like a hawk. You need to install CCTV cameras. You need to know your checks and balances. Every penny, if you send your staff to go somewhere and give her 1,000 naira, ask her, how much did you spend? Tell her no. Boss from point A. If you now decide to be kind and say, you know what, you can keep the change, but let her know that you are aware, or let him know that you know your math, you know, and you are not someone that they can just, you know, everything is accurate, your brain is working. My mom was sorry and Shelby go, your brain is working like the tick of a clock, you know. So that's one thing I wish I knew, that people could be very, very not loyal. But obviously I've learned, you know, with that, and I mean, since 2000 and I would say 13, 14, it's been 6 years or 5 years now, I have been able to make better decisions, and hopefully you watching this video, you learn from my experiences and you make even more better decisions. So I really enjoyed making this video. I hope that by the time I'm editing this video, everything makes sense. Yeah, that everything makes sense. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave your comments in the comment box below. People are reading, so people just watch my videos, they're not subscribed. I don't know why you're doing that. If you think I've ever added value to your life, or you think that you want to support me, please subscribe. Click the notification bell. Like this video so that other people can see it. Share this link with your friends and leave a comment below. And if you can't leave a comment below, I understand, but please try to leave a comment below. I love you guys. Until next time, stay blessed. Bye-bye.